let's have a lesson and discussion on this work. Follow the lesson for free and just pick up all the tips from the video for free. But if you're interested, I do have a sheet music edition of this work. It's part of a collection of grade 1 pieces, and there's a link for that in the description. So this piece is, in one way, it's a little bit more challenging than grade 1. However, if you've gone through my method books and my graded repertoire lesson book grade 1, by the time you get to this piece, you'll definitely be ready for the little tiny bit of challenges that this piece offers. Nothing hugely awkward in the piece, but there is some management of shapes and some right hand work to focus on. So I think the first thing we'll talk about is just a little bit about the musicality of the piece, and then let's talk about the right hand after that. So in terms of the musicality, we have a nice little upper melody, but it's not always easy to see because the top voice kind of includes accompaniment. So when I consider the melody, I'm thinking, you'll notice I didn't play any of those G's, even though it looks like it's connected in the voice. Those G's are just accompanimental. They kind of fill out the texture a little bit. So I really think of just at the end of that section, I include some of those lower G's, and then then the last section is a little bit more of texture oriented. But I definitely recommend that you just kind of play that melody on its own a little bit, so that you don't get too distracted by all the bass notes and all the chords, because you definitely want that melody to emerge from the texture as like a simple thing to listen to, despite all the activity that's going on. So, and just soften those G's up a little bit. So you can have quite a bit of bass presence, but you really bring out that melody. So that's kind of the musicality of the piece. It's a valse or a waltz, so a strong sense of the first beat. Here, here, that's where the direction should be happening, but also you want those kind of 4-bar phrases there as well. Now, in terms of the right hand, you might at first feel like it's a very complicated right hand piece, but then if you isolate one bar at a time and you look at one bar to the next, it's very, very uniform, which means for the student that once you can accomplish that pattern on a loop in the right hand, it's not that complicated, but you have to get that muscle memory going because it might not feel 100% natural right at first. So what I would do is I would first just take the first measure and just loop it. And you can say those letters out loud. You can go A, I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, A. And remember, we have a little bit of weight on the first beat, so that A finger gets a little bit of weight. And then you could loop the second measure, because the strings are different, but it's the same pattern. A, I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M. The other, and the next measure. Really get that into your right hand, and that all the pickups start with M. It's always going to be that. So because it's so uniform, if you get used to doing that, and you turn it into just muscle memory, you will not have to think about it at all. You just have to loop it a lot and get it into the hand so it feels natural, and that when your hand is playing this piece, it naturally wants to do that fingering. And because it's so uniform, that's very possible. So even in the second section, it's always going to be the same. A, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, A. So that pattern is just through the whole piece. So the only places that it's different is occurring near the cadences, in which case you have some 3-note chords and fingers must be repeated. So if I go from the end of measure 4, here you just repeat I, P, I, A for those chords. And that's okay. Plenty of time to do that. In the last section, I've notated the right hand fingering, but you just repeat fingers because of the dyads there. So it's just I am, right? But there we'll do A. And then we go back to the similar pattern. Now, for the left hand, I think we can just do a little walk through the piece and we'll just mention a couple of left hand things. I think the left hand is generally easy. However, if you're having trouble with your guitar position, there'll be a couple of things to discuss. Here, we're going to use our 4th finger on F so that 3 and 1 can grab that C chord. If you're having trouble reaching that, just make sure your hand is aligned. If my hand is misaligned, you can see my 4th finger can't really reach that F. But if my hand is properly aligned, I can easily reach that F. I could even reach the C or the G or even imaginary notes that are further down. But even the slight misalignment here, and you can see my 4th finger stretches out, it just can't reach that note. So hand position is incredibly important. If you're finding that's difficult, check your guitar angle and your guitar position. I have lessons on the site for that. And then check your hand angle and then proceed. Same thing here. Fingering works really well through that. Very compact hand positions. So in one ways, at first the piece might seem complicated and beyond grade 1, but once you get that right hand pattern just ingrained in your hand, and then you just make sure that your hand is aligned properly, there's nothing awkward in the piece. And then it starts to really feel like, oh yeah, this is grade 1, this is very possible for me. But nevertheless, it is a very active kind of a piece with lots of shapes, so it might require a little bit of extra practice. But if you've gone through my educational series here up to this point, I think you're going to be able to accomplish it really well. And it's a really nice little piece that sounds, I would say, quite a bit more full and active compared to a lot of grade 1 pieces. So I was really happy to find it and include it in the collection.